Chisom. Hi, Chisom. Are we talking about the winner of yesterday?
Hello, MEC. Okay, Esther.
Yes, right.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, Missy. You might want to make me co-host. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Just wait for just one more minute, then we'll get started. Hi, Samuel. Hi. Yeah, just Samuel joined it for now. Then we'll get started in a bit. Yeah. Just one more minute. I want more people to join it because I want more people to join because we have an icebreaker session. All right, it's already 7:02. It's 7:02, so I guess we can get started. Good evening, everybody, for joining in. Hi Mag, hi Happiness, hi Samuel. Yeah, it's a wonderful evening. I believe those that came around yesterday could attest to it that it's more like we're in an AI week session. And then yes, we are expecting more for this evening as well. So I'll be sharing my screen to just give like a sort of a summary of what we'll be expecting this evening. Give me a minute to put my screen up. So if you have colleagues or family friends that wants to be here and they are not yet here, you might just do well to reach out and tell them we are live. All right, so yeah, this is the agenda for this evening. You're welcome to Prompt Engineering for Non-Technical Teams. We have our icebreaker session. We have a Meteor Facilitator. As you can see, our design image here, Omoni Omotoshore. So I'll be introducing him in a bit after our icebreaker. Then yes, we have the prompt engineering presentation from Omoni. They'll be telling us about TLC/AI product management program that is upcoming. This event was actually powered by Truffle Learners Community TLC, and if you want to like get more offerings of this kind of sessions, you might just do well to subscribe to Aluma lu.ma/Trefford event. We have our questions and answer. We have our quiz/discount offering. Then yeah, share your feedback. So as much as possible at the end of this session, it is very important to share your feedback. Then we also have a discount offering. If you're here yesterday, you attest to it that we had a sort of a discount of a 30% off of our upcoming program. So we are running it today as well. So just get your device ready and be a part of this session. So before we joined this particular evening, our facilitator was like, oh yeah, I have a task for everybody on this call. So yeah, get ready for this particular task. This is where I stop sharing so that I can start recording and we get started. All right. So yeah, a very interesting task. When I saw it, I was like, okay, I guess our facilitator is well prepped for us today, and it's going to be a very interesting session. And yeah, this is the task that he has for us. Take a look at the image. This image here. I'm sure you are very familiar with this drink. Then the task is, without uploading the actual image to LLM, describe the image to ChatGPT or Gemini. So what you can just do is just you minimize your screen. If you're on your mobile or you're on your laptop, you can just go to your mobile and open any of the LLMs, either ChatGPT or Gemini, and give it all the necessary information to generate the image. And you finally upload the results to the drive. So I will be sending the link to the drive in the chat box, but I want you to take a minute. Let me share full screen. Take a minute to take a look at this particular image by what from my end is at my right hand. So I don't know, probably you are checking it from your left hand as well. So take a look at this image, look at the description. So without uploading the image, the description of the image of what you can see, just give it whatever information you can give it to ChatGPT or Gemini, and then you upload your results to the drive. Like I said, I will be sending the link of the drive to the chat box any minute from now. So now the example we have is generate a realistic studio photograph. Note, you don't necessarily make use of my example. You just come up with your own, but this is just a guide. This is an example. Generate a realistic studio photograph of a chilled Coca-Cola glass bottle with water droplets on the surface, surrounded by splashing cola, floating ice cubes, and lemon. The background is dark red with dramatic lighting, highlighting the texture of the bottle. You might necessarily not follow my example, but take a look at this image, come up with your own description, go to ChatGPT or Gemini, and then yes, insert this task. Are we clear on this? You can just reply me by saying you are clear, or you want me to come again with the instruction. Are we clear? You can just give a thumbs up, or you just need some time to ruminate over it. Okay,
Please,
Favor is clear.
can you go over the instruction, please?
All right, yeah. Tonight I'll go over the instruction. So here it is. Take a wonderful look at this image at your screen, and then without uploading the actual image to LLM, without screenshotting, some of you might start screenshotting, just take a look at it. Take a look at the details. Describe the image of what you are seeing to either ChatGPT or Gemini, and give it all the necessary information to generate this typical image, at least something close to this, and finally upload the results to the drive. The drive I'm talking about, I'll be putting it in the chat box any moment from now. I just want to make sure we are all aligned. So the example that I have, or the example that is here, I was not the one that came up with the example. The example that is here is this: generate a realistic studio photograph of a chilled Coca-Cola glass bottle and so on. You might necessarily not follow my example, but come up with your own details. Go to ChatGPT or Gemini and generate a similar image. Simple and clear. And I think we have just 2 minutes for that before we get started this evening. Are we good? So let me stop sharing here so that I would post, or I will share, so that I will share with us the link that you'll be posting your results. We look forward to seeing amazing results, by the way. So after you've generated your image, kindly upload it to this particular link. So what you just do is just click on new, click on upload image, and then yes, let's get started. I just need 2 inputs to come in, then probably I'll let Nidhi take on, but yeah, we look forward to more of this.
Yeah, I actually pasted the prompts in the
Oh,
chat.
okay, no problem.
Yeah,
All right.
I
The
expect
floor
to
is
see
yours.
different results. So
All right, let me be at the back end here to see if we have any input. Kindly confirm or reconfirm from your end if anybody can upload on the drive.
Yes, yeah, it's
Awesome.
public, yeah.
So yeah, the instruction is clear. If you are just joining on the call, we are actually, everybody's on a hot seat right here, right now. We are already putting, let me just say, welcome test for our prompt engineering class this evening. Good evening, if you are just joining in. So there is a task ahead of us. For the last time, I'll be sharing my screen. And this is the task. The task is that you take a look at the image. I'll be sharing my screen any moment from now. You take a look at the image, you come up with your own prompts, your own details, and then, yeah, you upload it to the drive I shared in the comment section. Here is it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, this particular image. This particular image. Give me a minute, please. Right? Yeah, this particular image. Take a look at it. Look at the details. Go to ChatGPT or Gemini. Come up with your own details and come up with something similar. Drop it in the link the drive link I shared in the chat box. So this is our own example. Come up with yours, or you might want to copy, but would appreciate if you come up with your own details. I think we have less than 2 minutes for this. 5 minutes. Well, Nii is the Lord here. Hi, Nii.
Yeah, I
Nii is
think,
a
yeah, we
facilitator.
probably don't need to go through the results now. We can
Okay.
go through the results during the workshop.
Awesome. Wonder what Chisom is coming up with. Okay. Let me refresh. All right, just 2 are in for now. Okay. Salami has uploaded, and then one, I'm sorry, I can't figure out the name, but it's something like Wohe Osusu has also uploaded. Let me see. Nice. Okay. Would you want me to share my screen? Maybe now or
No, we can go through the results later. But yeah, people can just keep dropping
okay. No
yeah.
problem there.
It
All right.
doesn't matter which results we get, please just upload it. That, in fact, that's the point of the exercise. The fact that we can type the same thing and get different, or we can have the same intention rather and still have different results.
Okay. All right. So while that is going on, then I guess we just get started with the class. So you might be listening to the class and also coming up with your own ideas and yeah, wonderful images. So here we have Omoni Yomoto Show. I'll just be doing a quick intro. Of course, we've already met him. Is one at your screen right now. And yeah, let me try and just share my screen again so that we would be together. So Omoni Yomotosho is a lead AI engineer at Mac 4343, where he leads the engineering works of developing AI-powered software solutions for government security agencies. He has previously held engineering roles at American Express, West Wing, Remitly, and Della, bringing over 10 years of experience building software systems. Interesting. Beyond this professional career, I don't know why he likes this or this particular paragraph is here. Nii is probably a 3-time failed startup founder. Well, it's a figure of resilience, lessons of failure and resilience that comes with it. He holds a master's degree in interactive intelligence from Georgia Institute of Technology, United States, and a bachelor's degree in electronics engineering from Obafemi Awolowo University. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's dig into what Omoni Yomotosho have for us today on prompt engineering. Over to you, Omoni. You can as well keep dropping your images. We'll look forward to them. Over to you, Omoni.
Thanks, Esther. Good evening, everyone. I assume we are all joining from almost the same time zone. Yeah, it's 7:15 p.m. my time. here as well. Yeah. So good evening, everyone. I'm Nee, like Esther mentioned, and for the next 30 minutes, we'll be doing a very practical workshop on on prompt engineering for non-technical teams. I will try to share my screen, but Esther, it says that sharing screen is disabled. So if you can just give me, okay. I think I should be
We're good now.
nice. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, I have a slide presentation here that hopefully we're able to go through everything because I'll also try to time myself. I guess Esther is also watching. So yeah, so let's get to it. What prompt engineering is and how we need to pay attention to it now, more than ever, especially the past, I would say 18 months, but I think the noise has really gotten even more serious this year, 2025. This session is going to be very non-technical. That is, we'll look at it from the product and business angle as much as possible. So I don't need to say anything here again since Esther just said that. The only addition I'll just add is that this year I've actually been exploring AI from non-technical side, which is what actually pushed me to start the AI Pi. And it's a platform where I talk about everything AI to working professionals and business owners purely from non-technical angle, right? Because I'm also a little bored of the technical side now. And since we're all moving to the utilization stage where we now have all these different AI systems and we're trying to interact with them, right? So how can we pass this information to everybody to actually make use of it? Yeah, so that's why I started this AI Pi platform. So let's set expectation for the workshop. At the end of this workshop, I want everybody to be able to explain what prompt engineering is, right, in very simple terms. And aside that, you should be able to apply the key components of prompt engineering in any prompt that you're writing. So we'll go through what those key components or key techniques are, and we will see them in action. Then also, whenever you have like a complex task to do, at the end of the session, you should have an idea why you need to break down, or the need for breaking down complex tasks into modular chains, right? Modular prompts that you can feed into any AI and actually get a better result. Why it's not a good idea to always push a big prompt into an AI system and just expect it to figure things out. And there are business reasons for this. There are technical reasons why nobody should do that. So we'll get into all those why in this workshop. Then we'll move on to another part where we'll talk about ethics and the limitations we have with AI at the moment, right? So we have all these different AI systems. They appear as if they can do everything, but still, there's those subtle limitations where they still fail. And because we're using it for business, we need to be aware of these things, right? If we're just using it to generate text messages and regular emails, that's fine. But when it comes to business, we need to be aware of all these limitations, and whenever we get to that point, we need to also know what to do in order to mitigate them. And finally, I'll try to give us like a path to always improve our knowledge, because I like to say this, that the AI we knew 2 months ago is different from what we know now. In fact, let me even drop this, that we don't know how long prompt engineering is going to be around for. Today we're talking about prompt engineering for technical, non-technical teams. We don't know if in the next 12 months, the entire idea of prompt engineering itself will become stale. That's how fast things are moving when it comes to AI. But we just know as of right now, as of probably tomorrow morning, prompt engineering is a thing. But we are in an industry, or we are in a revolution that you don't know what next. You really can't predict. Even the people building it, of which I'm privileged to, be a huge part of. You just don't know what next based on how fast things are moving, right? But as of now, of course, we know we need it. And that's why it's important to always improve your knowledge of what's the next thing. As of now, it's prompt engineering. We don't know what the next thing would be, but that continuous knowledge improvement is just one thing that is probably the most important, thing that I want everybody to even know at the end of the day. Okay. So let's lay some foundation. What is prompt engineering? One thing about tech that I've observed in my, all my years of being an engineer or a founder is that we like to overcomplicate things a lot. Some years back, I remember I was working in a company and they told me that they were practicing this type of agile called scaled agile. Has anyone heard of that term before? Scaled agile, not the regular agile. Now this is scaled agile. Most times it's companies with thousands of employees that do that. Has anyone heard of that term before? Okay, so scaled agile is just what it is based on the name, an agile on a larger scale. And part of the people they have in this scaled agile framework, there's a role they call release train engineer. I don't know if anyone has heard of that term before, but that was my first time hearing release train engineer. And I was like, okay, maybe this is just one of those very sophisticated engineering role that I don't know what they do, and hopefully one day I will aspire to be one of them. Only for me to find out that it's just another name for project manager, right? In scaled, in this scaled agile framework. And I'm like, okay, call these people project manager and they will not die. But no, we just need to give them like a special name and make it look sophisticated. That's the same thing with prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is what everybody already does, is what everybody aspires to do, is what everybody has to do right now to communicate with any AI system, which is how do you instruct an AI to do what you intend? The moment you do that, you are a prompt engineer. So prompt engineering is simply designing a prompt effectively such that the result you get is what you intended, right? So back to the exercise that I gave out, you know what intention is, a floating Coke bottle. How good can you inform this LLM to get you the output? That's the measure of, this engineering that we're talking about. So it's as simple as that. So that's prompt engineering. And for a prompt to be, effective or to be good, there are certain elements that it should have. Sometimes we skip these elements, but there are some, foundational things that must be part of a prompt for us to say, okay, this prompt is rich or is effective or will deliver what we want. And that will lead me to this slide about what makes up a good prompt. These 5 things, right, they're important to have in any prompt that we're giving to an AI system, especially for a business use case. Again, when you need an AI to generate an email to just reply for a personal use, or a text to send to someone, or just something very casual, you don't need to follow all these different rules. But when you're now in the business settings, your prompt should have an element of all these things. And I'll try to let us know why these things are important later in the workshop. The first thing is that your prompt should have a goal, what you're trying to achieve. That's straightforward. One thing that's usually, but the second one about putting roles, right? 90% of the time we skip this, even in business use cases. Again, we usually just let the LLM assume this thing. And I will, much later in the presentation, I will demonstrate how not putting roles in prompts actually makes like a huge difference between what you get, between what you get when using it and not using it. So I'll also walk us through this example that I have in this presentation. So role is the second one. And what does a role mean? If you're using LLM as a product manager, it's different from the way a product marketing manager would use an LLM for a particular purpose. It's also different from the way, it's also different from how a product researcher would use it. Of course, when we talk about engineers, that's like completely different angle, right? And mentioning these roles, we will see the importance to later in the presentation. The third one is context. Context is everything, even as humans, right? We use context. And let me just chip in this story. Artificial intelligence, to start with, it's about replicating human intelligence. So what early AI engineers have pretty much done is to mirror the way we communicate into machines. So if there's anything that applies to the way we talk, it almost applies to the way we should talk to machines. So when you're having discussion with someone, if you don't give enough context, you expect the answer to not be as great as what you want. That also applies to machines, that when you talk to machine and you don't give the only difference is that we've programmed LLMs or AI systems to make assumptions. Humans probably won't assume. Instead, they will just tell you that they won't even answer you. If they don't have context, either they don't answer you or they give you a completely wrong answer. But in AI systems, they are kind of trained to make those assumptions for us. But back to what we're saying about having a good prompt, context, it's very, very important. The fourth thing is constraint, right? So constraint is you just adding some guardrails into what the prompt should look like. And the fifth element is example. So to be more practical, let's examine this prompt that we have in this, that I have on my page here. So in this prompt, in this prompt here, the goal is that we want ChatGPT or Gemini to draft a LinkedIn post to announce a product launch. The goal again is to draft a LinkedIn post, right? Announcing product launch. We've fulfilled the number one thing, which is the goal. The second thing is that the role. How do we know which role to give it? When we're talking about a product launch, the best person to actually, announce this thing is not a software engineer. If I can imagine telling a software engineer to go and announce a product launch, the guy probably will say, we built this system on Java and C++ or something. Or telling a designer to announce a product launch, probably will say, we had all the best gradient or something. Yeah. But the best role for this in any company would definitely be a marketer, because a marketer is the person that understands the science behind communicating anything like this to an end user. That's why you're telling an LLM to assume that role. Later in the presentation, I will tell us why, even on the technical side of things, I'm talking about how LLMs are programmed. This thing makes a huge difference in how these systems respond to people, right? So that's why we need all these different parts. Then the one about the constraints too, right? You're saying that it should sound professional, it shouldn't use the buzzwords, and it should try to highlight one or two things, about the products. This is also very, very important. Constraints, basically, for companies or businesses, this is where you design a prompt to sound like your company. For example, if you do, this is not very common, in our part of the world, but if you look at the Western world, when you see an advert or an announcement from Starbucks, it's different from the way American Express will go about announcing something. It's different from the way Adidas will go about announcing something. So this, we've been doing this thing off AI, like without AI before. Now that we're using AI, it cannot change, because to the users, they don't care if it's AI that came up with this thing or not. They want to know, this is Adidas announcing this. This is this person announcing this. So constraint is actually where we define a lot of all these things that make us sound like who we are as a business or as a person, right? And of course, giving examples has a role to play in all of this, in making a good prompt as well. Then So these are the 5 pillars, of a good prompt. Again, you set a goal, you assume a role, you give it a context, you put some constraints, and you give an example so that it doesn't make up some things for you. Let me tell you why this matters in a company setting. If you don't do this, whatever thing you're doing is very, very consequential. Again, like I said, if you're using ChatGPT or Gemini for personal use, I mean, what's the worst case scenario? If you use it to generate message you send to a guy or a girl, they break up with you. But for a company, the output of an LLM could be the difference between $5,000 and $500,000 in revenue. So it's very, very consequential in business settings. As a product manager or as an engineer or as a marketing expert or as a legal person, how you use the systems in a business setting, it's very, very consequential. So that's the, extreme effect that you can easily get from not putting the right things in place. The second thing is structure and consistency. Like I explained, right? Every brand has a tone. We do this offline. We do this when we think with our brain, when we don't let AI do these things already. So now that we're putting this work into AI to do for us, we need to find a way to replicate these things in our prompts. And that's why, writing these good prompts, they are very important to maintain that consistency. The third thing is scale, right? Every company has at least one or two persons until they scale out to 500, 1,000, 12,000. We're getting to the point where prompts will not just be as simple as, okay, now we have ChatGPT in this company. Go and type anything you want and give us a result. No, we're getting to the point where every company should be looking at having a playbook. A playbook just means an instruction set of how people should be using LLM to come up with marketing strategy or product research document or anything, right? And that's very important to where when somebody now joins the company, you say, okay, this is how we use AI here. This is the prompt that we use to generate this particular thing. Right now, only very few companies pay attention to this, but it's very, very, very important because we're at an era where we can't shy away from using AI. If you're not using AI, let's not even get into that discussion of people shying away from AI. But the point is just that as we scale, as we add new members to our team, as we try to even use AI for anything, we need to be thinking about that scale. We need to be thinking about the consequences. We need to be thinking about putting a structure into how we actually instruct these machines to give us any results at all. So that will now lead us to the real business case of when you now want to use AI to, let's say maybe come up with a marketing strategy or even develop a new feature. We've said something about the fact that we can't just go ahead to tell an AI system that generate this entire thing for us, right? Without putting all these different constraints and context into what we want to do. So how can we actually do that effectively? Still have a good result. That's what prompt chaining is all about. So prompt chaining in simple terms is how can we break a huge AI task into smaller but connected steps? For example, if we want to do that same product launch, at least we expect like 3 departments to be involved. Let's say the research department to come up with, the audience that should even receive this thing in the first place, the product department to do some kind of product market fit and some other analysis that product teams would normally do before we now get to the marketers that will go ahead to make all these announcements or do follow-ups and do these different sales, right? So how can we in a company make sure that, okay, we already know that because these are different roles, all right? There's a marketing role, there's a research role, there's a product role. These are different roles that are trying to use the same AI system. How can we let them work independently, but at the same time, have these final consolidated results? That's what prompt chaining is all about. So everyone, you have the prompts, but at the end of the day, can we connect each of these prompts so that the final result we have still hold what we want for our brand? That's prompt chaining. So we break down the huge task into smaller connected steps. That's exactly what prompt chaining is trying to do. And in this for this aspect, I will want us to do this in practice, so we see what this thing is like in a proper business setting. So some of the let me just go over some of the core principles of this prompt chaining again. We can't use a big prompt because why? It's going to confuse the AI. You can't just tell AI to, well, we can, but it's a bad practice. Let me say it that way. If you type in it, I mean, AI is if you were in the class yesterday, we established, the speaker also established that AI is a probabilistic system, unlike the deterministic one that we have. Now, what that means is this, in simple terms, regardless of what you send into an AI, you will get a result. The result might not make sense, but you'll get something. If you if you give it any task, most likely it's going to respond. Worst case scenario, it will tell you it doesn't understand, which is hardly the case anyways, because it's programmed to always give you an answer. So what we now try to do is to give it the best prompt as much as we can. So if we give it a big prompt, a huge prompt to just do something, it's going to confuse the AI. Though it won't tell you that I'm confused. That's the problem. It won't tell you. But maybe by the results, you can spot that, okay, this thing made some things up. So how we fix that is by this, principle of chaining prompts. Because when you now have these different prompts, you want to make sure that you have each prompt to handle a particular clear step. And every step has to link. Again, I will demonstrate this so we'll see what it actually looks like. Because what we're really trying to do here is to mirror what we do in reality. In reality, we don't have a single team do everything, right? There's a team handling research. We have a product team that's handling strategy. We have a marketing team that's handling execution. This same thing, we can mirror it when it comes to using AI. And that's what prompt chaining helps us to do. So let's go, let's do something very practical. So I will stop this slide. I won't stop sharing, but I want to stop the slideshow. Yeah, exit full screen. And what I will do right now is that I made up this prompt where I said, I need this thing to go out of presentation mode. Okay. So yeah, I made up this prompt where I said, so I'll use ChatGPT for this. This could be any AI, by the way. It doesn't have to be ChatGPT. So the goal is that we want the AI to come up with a 3-month marketing strategy for a fintech app that we've built. Someone has a question. Happiness, you can go ahead.
Okay, hi, good evening. Please, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question regards to prompt engineering, right? Let's say I'm looking to interview with a prop tech, right? And I want to get started. I want AI to prep me. How do I go about that?
Okay. I think by the time we're done with this particular example, you will have some kind of answer. But I will now try to also explain. If you still don't have an answer, then I will try to explain how. It's definitely prompt chaining. Like the answer is definitely prompt chaining. Because the worst thing you can do to an AI is to say, prepare me for an interview. Like that's the worst prompt you can give an AI system instead of chaining the process of that interview for the AI. So let's just go through this, then you will see if it answers the question or not. Okay. So the goal of this entire exercise is that we want to generate a 3-month marketing strategy for an app that we just built. The name of the app is PayBridge, right? So I'll go to ChatGPT and I will just say, I'll paste the exact same thing. So because of time, I'll put it on instant so that we just generate something for us and it won't waste our time. So again, PayBridge, we're going out and we need the marketing strategy for the next 3 months. If you hit enter, LLM, smart, but at the same time dumb, it will give you an answer. So you can see there's a product summary, go for the next 3 months. It says, okay, this is the target audience, these are the value proposition, campaign teams, even a calendar. You know, the first thing I will even ask myself is, how did it even know? How did they know who the target audience is? How you can, there are so many things that it has made up here, right? So it's already made up that is a cross-border payment, that, you know, we're doing some, it just had to fill in some details. And at the end, we have this, if this was a Google Docs, this would be 2 pages. It has a 2-page marketing strategy. So this is because I just sent a prompt, you know, 1 prompt to try to come up with a 3-month marketing strategy. And what it has done now is that it has done the work of a PM, a researcher, and a marketer all in 1 prompt. And I can tell you for a fact that for any real life business case, this will be a terrible, like a very, very terrible thing to even take on and try to implement, because so many things were made up, so many things were not thought through. It's even hard for me to now say, you know what, I don't like anything about this target audience. Maybe change one, because based on this target audience, it already came up with the value proposition, and based on this value proposition, it already came up with the content calendar. So where do I start from? I can't even make any correction. And if I attempt to do it, by the time we are done, 1 person will cry. It's either I'm crying or the AI is crying. Yeah, somebody will feel frustrated at some point. So that's the problem with a huge prompt for anything. So it doesn't have to marketing strategy. It could be interview, like Happiness tried to mention. But let's design this in a better way, right? The right way, using prompt chaining. Instead, what would have been a good approach is to break this down into all the departments that will be involved, right? We know there should be some kind of research phase. So instead of that 1 single prompt, I try to break it down into 4 prompts. So in the first prompt, I'm saying, let's identify the target audience. And based on this target audience, we can now see how this app, which is PayBridge, is solving a pain point for each of the target audience that we have. So what I will do now is to start a new session here and put the first prompt. So, and the first prompt is simple: identify target audience, which is what the research team would normally do. So target audience 1, it will do target audience 1, 2, 3. One thing that you can immediately see, that just on this target audience, we have a 2-page report. And the entire 3-month strategy that we generated previously was also 2 pages. So you don't even need to know, you don't even need too much mathematics to know that, okay, something is off. So here, we can't go through this because of time, but you can already see how detailed, it's going with this particular target audience research alone. Now that we have this, right, let's now take it further. One thing I want you to observe about prompt chaining is that all the prompts must link. So for example, here, we're talking coming up with pain points, right? In step 1, pain points. And you can see that the step 2 is that it's saying that using these pain points, write value proposition. That makes up step 2. And this step 2 has to be the input into the step 3. Now that we have this value proposition, we are now saying that generate 5 campaign angles. So prompt chaining, for something to qualify as a prompt chain, every step must link into the next one. So we start from step 1 or prompt 1, and prompt 1 will feed into prompt 2, prompt 2 will feed into prompt 3. That way, again, that's what happens in real life. You get your researchers to do stuff, they pass it on to a team that will come up with strategy. Strategy team will lead to will pass things on to the team that's executing. This same approach is what we have to do when it comes to engineering our prompts too, because there's a huge difference between doing that and not doing that. So let me just paste this prompt now, which is saying, based on the pain points that I listed above, come up with 3 value propositions. And by the time it does this, all I need to do again is to now say, again, this is going to, it's just going to do a very detailed work where it will not assume things or omit things. And even when you have to come up with like a report of how you arrived at your final output, you have things you can reference here, because this versus, the 2-page thing that we had previously, it's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. Because of time, I will not want to run all this. I will not want to run all the different prompts that we have. But again, what we've been able to achieve here is that instead of one single prompt, we broke it down into 4, where each step or each prompt mirrors what happens in, mirrors a particular department. And finally, we have the output is the same thing, which is a 3-month content plan. And I wish we could run it to the end, but and try to compare what the final output is. But it's going to be a very huge difference between just one huge prompt and you breaking it down into different prompts that chain together. And this chain here is just that output 1 is the input to the next one. Output 1 is the input to prompt 2, like that till to the end. So that's prompt chaining. So why does it work? The number 1 reason is that focus. Let me go technical a bit. The way these LLMs are built, all of them, they give you a context window to work with. What that means is this: it doesn't matter what you are searching, right? If an LLM is programmed to respond within 2 minutes, it doesn't matter the result it has. At that point, it will give you an output. Facts will be there, other things will be made up. We'll get to a later point where I will talk briefly on this making things up, which is hallucination. But what we've been able to do by chaining prompts is to limit or almost take out this part of AI just making things up, because it has enough time to go into each step or each prompt to actually do proper research or do proper reasoning. It doesn't have to be research every time, but proper reasoning before coming up with stuff. So that context window or that token that you are given for every prompt, you can utilize it, you can utilize it correctly. That's what focus does. Control. I mentioned control a bit when I was reviewing that bad result that I got. That what if I had a problem with target audience? How do I now tell you to go and fix the target audience, then fix value proposition, then fix the final plan? That would have been impossible if it was just one single prompt. But because I broke it down into steps, after that target audience or pinpoint result, I could have said, okay, I don't like this, come up with a new one, or let's change, or brainstorm on a particular point before moving on to the next one, right? So that's how much control you have when you change your prompts. Third one is reusability. I've talked about playbooks in the beginning, that we're getting to the point where every team should have a template of how they do things. So imagine those 4 prompts that I showed us now that we chain together. Each one could be the template for every department. Research team, this is how you do it. Marketing team, this is how you do it. And like that. And the 4th one is real world workflow, alignment, right? Like I described, this is how we do things of AI. So we need to find a way to also do it when it comes to prompting AI systems. And that's what prompt chaining helps us to achieve, that every department can still own their prompts, but we find a way to chain them together so that output of one is the input to the other. Okay, so lastly, let's talk about the limits, of any AI system. It doesn't matter what you know up to this point. The narrow AI that we have right now is still a prediction engine. What does that mean? Most of the things you see or how we build these systems is just so that it will guess what is the right thing. It's not necessarily the right thing, right? So when you ask AI for something, it's giving you a result based on what it's been trained on. In technical world, what we do is we scrap all this data, we embed them into what we call, we vectorize them into what we call embeddings, we save them. And when you ask the question, what we're just doing is we do a semantic search that give me something that is the closest to what this person is asking, and we give you. That's why when you ask AI system anything, or when you try to shout on ChatGPT, it will tell you you're absolutely right, because yeah, it doesn't have time to argue. It's not programmed to argue. Of course, in my line of work, we have AI systems that can argue with you. And there are ways we do that by controlling something called temperature. most AI systems that you see like ChatGPT, their temperature is 0.5. So the scale is 0 to 1. 1 means this guy that agrees with you. It doesn't even matter what you say, it agrees with you. 0 is a cold person, like this one will not agree with you. So in public safety or military work, it's always on 0. Like this one is because life is involved, right? But most general use cases is somewhere between 0.5 and 1. So it's a prediction engine. It will just give you the next best solution. And because of that, it will make things up. That's the second point. So AI system, they hallucinate a lot. Hallucination is just that if you ask it to write a paper, for example, it can even make up reference. It can come up with names that if you now try to zone in, if you tell you this person doesn't exist, it just had to do it so that it can have a result for you. So those limits are still there. And they had to put it because of commercial purpose, right? Imagine you're trying to use ChatGPT and it's on that temperature 0. What will happen is that, factually speaking, 5 out of 10 questions you ask will not be answered because it won't have enough information to give you an answer. That is not good for business. That is not good for OpenAI business, right? So they keep it as a prediction engine, give you some facts, the rest hallucinates. So those are the things you need to be aware of when you use the systems, that whatever the information is giving you might not necessarily be correct. So you're there, your work is still to do those fact checking. So the third one, still related to everything I've said, that the training data that has been used to build all the system is biased. ChatGPT, for example, 60% of the information you see there are things scrapped from Reddit and Google search. So anything that it has read that doesn't even make sense on those platforms is still almost guaranteed that it will regurgitate it to people at the end of the day. I should give credit to companies like Anthropic and maybe OpenAI that they've tried over the years to remove those biases in their system, but they are still there. They are still there. The last thing is privacy risk. And I need to, even if I will not say anything else, I need to, hammer this point because this is a business case. We need to be careful with the way we use the AI systems for prompts, right? Because I've talked about putting constraints and specifying as many details as possible, but you still need to be careful when you're using it for business, that these platforms are still owned by commercial enterprises, right? That, they guarantee some level of privacy to some extent, but it's not always good. For example, let me just show you something very real here. I don't know how many of us pay attention to it in ChatGPT, that there's literally a setting here where you see it. I mean, I've also seen it in ChatGPT Enterprise, as funny as it sounds, under their data control. They have this option there that improve model for everyone. In my settings, it's off because I'm aware. Most people don't know about these things, right? That if you it's turned on by default, by the way. And what they are doing is, if this thing is turned on, you've allowed them to use your content, your charts, to train their model, not for you, but for you and everyone who uses it. So imagine you are this overzealous employee who has information about something proprietary about the company, and you're just dumping it on some AI like ChatGPT to come up with some, come up with an output for you. You are indirectly just giving out this information. That's what is happening. So these are the things you need to be aware of when you are also writing these prompts, that those PIIs, those CGIS, those very, very sensitive information, mask it or find a way to find some to look for some other ways to just give it that prompt instead of letting it have that exact information, because that information is definitely leaving the system one way or the other. I've read through their privacy settings. There is the random legal bullshit. Sorry for my language, that all of these companies have in their privacy document that don't do anything because they are still taking that information anyways. So please, it's just something to be very, very aware of when we're doing all these when we're trying to do these things using AI. Okay. So let me wrap this up because of our time, that, okay, where do we go from here? Right. So The first thing I want, yeah, basically now that we have all this information, where do we go from here? Because, like I said, as of today, we know prompt engineering. We don't know what will be the next thing tomorrow. So, and the goal of this class is for you to understand why you should pay attention and continue seeking knowledge. Like I said, one of the things I want us to, or I want to mention on the call is how do you proceed to, be the best prompt engineer, because that's what everybody is at the end of the day. That's what we all are at the end of the day. So first, like I said, I talk about this thing a lot on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn for the most part. So you can just check my page out. Yeah, from time to time I try to talk about this thing. But second one, which is even more important and more detailed, is that Treford has a program, on AI product integration. And personally, I've gone through the curriculum and I can tell you that it is rich, right? So you will learn everything, including this prompt engineering and how to approach it for products. So please, I think Esther has more information on this. So she also mentioned when we started the call, but I believe she would also mention it. She would also mention it again in the later part of this call. So please, I think it's something I will encourage everybody to pay attention to. The reason for things like this, again, like I said, you don't know what will be the next tomorrow. So being part of any system where these things are discussed will go a long way to always remain, at the top of that chain when it comes to, what is it that we're supposed to know now. Again, today is prompt engineering. We don't know what's next tomorrow, right? So if you're part of that community or ecosystem where these things are being discussed, it will go a long way. Lastly, I want everybody to just pay attention to these three companies, because both on the technical and the consumer perspective or business perspective, these are the three companies that are leading the talk of AI at the moment. And they are Google, which is the maker of Gemini. Gemini, as of now, it's in every Google product that you can think of. The search, the YouTube, notebook, just any Google product, there's Gemini model that is doing something right now. And what they do each time they release all these updates and how to interact with them is they give you like some kind of guide into how to use it. The second one is OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT. So pay attention to the announcements and what people are saying about these companies and how they're using stuff, both on the good side and on the bad side. Yeah, the last company, which is more on the technical side and product, is Anthropic. That most products you will see out there today, they are using one Anthropic model or the other. So in the technical world, you hear things like, well, it's not even technical. In the tech world, you hear things like MCPs. That is how your AI native app that you are building can communicate with other systems, like some APIs outside, some databases, some other AI native applications. How do they communicate? Anthropic is the company that is at the helm of this whole development. So that's another company you should pay attention to. So let me close with this statement that going forward, right, in every industry, in every role, in every company, what is going to be the difference between, the good guy? It doesn't matter if he's a PM or an engineer or a marketer, and the great guy is who is the better prompt engineer. As of now, you cannot outplay an AI in chess. You can't outride an AI. You can't outcode an AI. You can't even out-strategize an AI system, right? So the guy or the person that is going to lead in any of all these roles that we have, in fact, AI is not even about tech. In anything, is who is the better prompt engineer, because you have this system that everyone has access to, and the person that comes up with the better results is just who can instruct the system better. So if there's any reason to pay attention to prompt engineering, this should be your reason, that you don't just want to be the good guy, you want to be the great guy. And thank you, everyone. So I think, yeah, we can go to the questions and answers now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Omoni. That was a very insightful, short, precise session. Yeah, the question bank is still open. If you have any question, you can just drop it in the link that I shared in the comment section. Happiness, you have a question? Has it been answered, or do you still want to recap on it so that
Oh,
we'll just address it?
okay, yeah. Happiness, was the question answered, or you still want me to just say maybe some few words on that?
Yes, my question was answered. Thank you.
Oh, great. All right. If you were here yesterday, Nii has already given us an insight on the program we have that will be launching October 25th. If you were here yesterday, we ran a sort of a promo, a 30% off, which we'll be doing the same today. And yeah, the same criteria applies where we run a sort of a poll. So yeah, what is the program all about? Let me just quickly run you through what Treford AI product management is all about. Nii has already spoken briefly concerning it. So what you just do is just go to Treford.Africa. I will be sharing the link in the comment section any minute from now. If you click on the link that I'll be dropping in the comment section, you'll be seeing this particular page where we'll talk about AI product management, master AI product integration, and lead the future of product development. This is where you take a look at the curriculum, what you'll be expecting in classes. Then you can download the brochure and you take a very good look at it, AI foundations and product managers. Scroll through to AI product strategy, roadmapping and metrics, responsible AI and ethics, AI product leadership and future trends, and so on and so forth. Then you can request for your full brochure so that you can take a deeper look at it. I mean, it's a robust curriculum. So like I mentioned, give me a minute so that I will just share the direct link where you have access to check this. Oh, my colleague has already dropped it in the comment section. So very quickly, we're still going to make use of the link I drop in the comment section. We'll be dropping a poll. But first, these are the criteria for you to join this particular poll. Before I go ahead, Nii, are we still taking a look at our responses for the? Oh yeah, awesome. Okay, that was
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
wanted. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah, we can
all right, no
easily
problem.
go, we can quickly go
Oh,
through.
great. So after this particular quiz, we'll be going through the generations of the promptings we had earlier. So like I mentioned, for you to be qualified for this particular session, I want you to listen attentively to the criteria. Give me a minute to share my screen. So first of all, this is our learner persona. The program is designed for mid to senior level product managers that are looking to build AI product depth and move into AI focused roles. Startup founders looking to acquire AI product skills to stay ahead in the market. Experienced professionals to look to pivot into AI driven roles. So if you fall into any of this category, and then you want to register for this particular session, which is going to start October 25th. So, like I mentioned earlier, there are 2 slots available for a 30% off from the tuition fee. And all I want to do now is just want to run a poll, like a sort of a quiz. You know you're interested in this particular session, and then you fall into the category of the learner persona I mentioned. What you just have to do is you just click on the link and then you join this poll of questions. So the question is just going to run for 20 seconds, 20 seconds per questions, and then our team is going to take a proper scrutiny at the winners and is going to reach out to the winners. So what you just have to do, click on this link. I mean, it's still the same link I have been dropping since the beginning of the call. Click on this link and then we'll get started with the questions. I mean, very cheap questions, just for us to take a look at our winners for tonight. 30% off the tuition fee for this particular program. Awesome. So here, let me drop the link. Click on this link if you're interested. If you are here yesterday and you were not opportune to join the particular session, you can just do that now. Click on this link and join the wagon, and at least get a chance for you to be part of those that will be reviewed for the 30% of the institution price. We just need a maximum of 4 or 5 people. Click on this link, and then yeah, let's get started. And you might just also want to yeah, you might just want to also take a look at the questions as well. So I'm waiting for people to join in. Then we'll look at the images that we generated at the beginning of this call. All right, let's do this. If you're having issues joining this link, I have dropped the link again. Let's just do well to join the link. And then yes, we get started. Let's do this. Just 3 questions. 3 questions. And then we'll get started. Who are those that are joining? If you are joining, let's see you. Nobody's joining yet. We are waiting. Except you want us to take our 30% off. Okay, Joe. Thank you for joining, Joe. Well, I think we just have a minute. If you're having difficulty joining, please let me know so that Doris, what do you mean by different niches? Would you want to explain your different niches? Zainab, you're welcome. Probably 1 more person or 2 more persons. I think we've waited long enough so that we'll have the rest of the evening to ourselves. 1 or 2 more
Hi.
persons to play. Hi.
Okay, so what I basically meant by different niches is that most of us are prompt engineers for brands, right? For companies, not necessarily product management. And the quiz
Mm.
apparently is for product managers. So that's more like a distort for us as we
Oh,
had, yes, that's what I meant.
okay. Thanks for sharing, Doris, that we have other niches. Probably we may also take a look at that particular aspect as well. Thank you for sharing, Doris. I just need 1 or 2 more persons to join this, then we'll get started with our quiz. 1 more person. Going. All right. So let me start the quiz. Joe and Zainab, you might just get started. The first question is this. One of this is not part of what makes a good prompt. One of this is not part of what makes a good prompt. And you choose your answer. It's just 20 seconds. And we already have 7 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. It's not part of what makes a good prompt. All right. Okay. 2 people chose, the 2 people that registered chose objective. Fine. To the next question, why is having structure and consistency in prompt writing important for business team? Why is having structure and consistency in prompt writing important for business teams? And then yes, we have our options. Let's do that in the few seconds we have left. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, what is the result? Okay, the 2 people chose. It ensures clearer structure, repeatable templates, and less rework, which happens to be the correct answer. And the last question, which of the following is not one of the limits of AI mentioned in the slide? I mean, most of these questions were crafted from what Omoni taught us about this evening. Which of these, of the following is not one of the limits of AI? Limit of AI mentioned in the slide. AI is a prediction game. AI can experience emotions like humans. AI can make things up. And probably option, any option that you want to. Okay, and what do we have? Okay, so awesome. So it's more of like R2 Oh, interesting. Zainab, what happened, Joe? Were you not able to partake? Because also, interestingly, it was Zainab that participated throughout. Probably, Joe, you fell along in the way. I would like to know what actually happened. But in the meantime, let's quickly go through the wonderful prompts we have. Can I go ahead? You? Okay. So somebody generated this. Please confirm if you can see my screen. This is close, or I'll let Nate be the judge. This is somebody's image, another person's image.
Yeah, I think this is probably the closest. Yeah,
Okay,
this is probably.
but the cover is missing.
Ah, okay.
Okay, this is another one.
Oh,
Interesting. Interesting.
okay, nice.
Interesting. From where to where? Okay, this is why we need a prompt engineering class. Then we have this.
It's okay.
I guess it's safe to say hallucination of AI happened here.
Okay, that was over hallucination.
So we have this. I guess that's all.
So let me
Let's
just share
see.
my
Oh,
screen.
somebody has sprites. Interesting.
Oh, okay. The person must have removed the word Coca-Cola for Sprite
Coca-Cola.
because the hallucination that will cause this, needs ChatGPT to be
Mhm.
sued. They will replace Coca-Cola with Sprite.
Yeah, I guess that's all at the moment.
So I want to just share the prompt that
Mhm.
actually generated the exact same same picture that we have. So can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
So I will paste this prompt in the chat. If you just want to try, you can try it, and you will see that it doesn't matter how many times you try, you will get, if not the exact same thing, it will be almost the same.
Mm.
But you will never have a case where the bottle is standing straight or it has any other element aside what is here. So this is the result I just got right now. And this is the picture that I uploaded in the drive. The point of all this is that the more detailed your prompt is, the closer you are to the intention, to the intended goal. So that's just what, even though we all intend to achieve this image here, I've added so much details to this prompt that it will keep giving me this, and if you try it out, you will get almost the same thing, right? But if we just leave it to chance where you want people to come up with something, um we'll keep getting the same results. And again, play this for a business where a business has a tone, has a way they deliver value. We can't just leave people to be typing what they want. There has to be a template. There has to be, some kind of methodology that will follow to be able to achieve our results. If not, AI will lead us to a point where our brands no longer have a tone. Yeah, so that's just why this is important, that when we're using these systems, we need to put all these guardrails and have, be intentional about how we use it. If not, we keep getting different results.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I believe this is the end of this session. So please make sure you are not leaving this call without dropping your feedback. What is your feedback concerning this session? How will you rate this session? What are your key takeaways from this session? What do you advise to improve on? This is where you just share your honest feedback. What do you look forward to subsequent Stratford events that we have? How do you rate this session, and what are your key takeaways? In just a few minutes, please let's do that while we round up this session. While we are taking that, if you still have any further questions, this is the platform where you bring it up, either for Stratford or for Omoni. This is where you bring it up. But just make sure that you do not leave this call without giving your honest feedback, your rating of the session, your key takeaway from this session, and what do you advise to improve on. Let's do that in a few minutes. I think that shouldn't take time. Shouldn't take time at all. Click on the link and then it will take you to the same page that we do have. Only one person is typing so far. We need more responses. Feedback actually helps to shape our subsequent events. Let's do well to do just that. We are more than 2-3 people that are currently responding. I'm sure we can do much better. Omani, do you have any closing remark for us? Oh, Chisom is giving heads up. Would you want to answer that real quick before your
Oh,
final
okay.
remark?
So, how far from the, it doesn't have to be exact, but how far from the result did you get?
It's floating actually, but the splash is more like is it a spiral wave around the pot?
Okay, it would be nice if you can upload what it looks like to the
Yeah,
drive.
let me do that.
Okay, thanks. But you're not getting the tiger. That's important. That's important. That's important here.
Guys, I'm still looking forward to our feedback. Please click on the link, your ratings, your key takeaway, and what you advise to improve on. Please, let's do that. Chisom, are you uploading it here or you're uploading it on the drive?
I'm trying to upload it on the drive. Just
Oh,
a
okay.
moment.
It's okay. If you have not appended your votes, kindly do well to do that real quick. We should be ending the session in a moment from now. I wouldn't want to start calling names if we've appended or if you've given your feedback. Feedback is very important. Feedback is very important. If you have issues navigating to the Slido link, just let me know. But we take feedback very seriously, especially at Sheffield. Every of our events, we always take feedback at the end of the session. If you are typing, kindly type real fast. Chisom, if you are done updating it on the drive, please let us know. We'd like to see how far away from, even after using the same
Yeah, I
code.
have.
Oh, okay, great. Let's see. Okay, this is oh, okay. I don't know if you've seen it, Nii, or should I
Okay,
share?
I've seen it. That's
Okay.
not ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, that's Google
Okay,
Gemini.
okay. Sorry, that's something I didn't mention, that you should expect different results from different models. Yeah. So if you try it on ChatGPT, there is no way you're getting that one. There is no way you're getting that. And again, is what I try to explain about semantic search, right? And the way LLMs are vectorized. Every company, they try to have different different interpretation, right? But for if a company is using ChatGPT as their base LLM, again, is to keep that same tone, so that if you try the same set of prompts, you don't get an entirely different result. Yeah. So, but whatever prompt it is that you've used in Gemini, if you try it again in Gemini, the results will be so close. But if you put it in another system, because they are trained on different data sets, so that's why the result is completely different. But if you try it on the same model, it will be very, very close.
Okay, thanks for sharing, Omoni. Also, I think just to wrap up what you said, that a platform also differs, or it's also one of the factors to make use of, especially when we are generating our prompts. So here's the feedback. If you have not appended your vote, please do well to do that before the video score. We are 5.0. Key takeaway: understand how to properly prompt AI to get better results. Please, I want more takeaway from this session. If you have not written down your takeaway, you can still do that. The link is still open. Okay, somebody learns about prompt training, the right way to break down tasks to AI. Understanding prompt training, even though I do without knowing what it is or what it's called for. Why sharing the webinar update online? Be clear on what the session is for. Okay, the title of this webinar or this particular session is Prompt Engineering for Non-Technical Teams. So it's actually for non-technical content marketer, product marketer, and all. But the session, the program we're upselling, the current AI program that we're upselling is for product managers. Probably along the way, Trefford might come up the one for product marketers or content marketers. But as it is, what we are currently launching October 25th is AI product managers. But this particular event, where Money is taking us, as you can see, it was not specific about product managers. Prompt engineering is for non-technical team. So you are welcome as a marketer, you are welcome as a content marketer, as long as you want to learn more about AI, you want to learn more about prompt engineering, just as the title is. But the upcoming session that we are currently introducing to us is specifically for AI products management. However, your feedback is taken note of, and then yes, we'll do well to make we'll do well to be more observant in whatever we are putting out there, as we have anyway, but to put all of this into consideration. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. It's already 8:21. Thank you so much, Mone Yomotosho. If you have not been following his IG page, it's very interesting and they're full of wonderful content, especially concerning AI. Just do well to do that. He mentioned that while introducing himself, and then also what next, especially after this call. So, yeah, that is all for now. This is where we'll meet our mic and say thank you to Money for such a wonderful session. And then we'll call it an evening. Just unmute your mic, say a big thank you to Money. Thank you, Money, for coming.
Thank you, Nee.
Thank you, Amani.
You're handsome, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
A fine guy, by the way.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody, and have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful rest of the week. Bye for now.
Bye. Bye, guys.